Hey everybody, what is up? Day 31 of Spooky Season is now in the bag. The last day of Spooky Season. But anyway, on the last day of Spooky Season, I watched a movie called The Changeling, which is about a man, a musician, composer, who lost his wife and child in an accident, and he moves to, I believe, Seattle to take up a position as a music professor. And then he ends up leasing this house that has a history behind it. And that is the basis of The Changeling. So The Changeling came out in 1979, 1980, depending on who you're asking. And I went into it not really knowing a whole lot about it. Obviously, I'd never seen it before, but I ended up really liking it because it combines a good old-fashioned, almost gothic Victorian ghost story because the house is haunted. There was a boy that was murdered there by his father because the boy was either injured, disabled, something like that. And it was back during the early 1900s, and the father didn't want to deal with it. He didn't want that son running his empire. So he drowned him, got an orphan, sent the orphan overseas, and when the orphan was old enough, came back, and then the orphan was the one that ended up taking over the father's empire. But the house is haunted by the son that was killed. And the music professor figures it out along the way because of things like his daughter's ball bouncing, the ball that he gets of his daughter's, the wheelchair that the boy stayed in moving by itself, a seance where he heard noises of the boy in the background. And so it combines a good old-fashioned Victorian or Gothic ghost story with a slow burn kind of plot that reveals and peels back layers and reveals new things along the way. And when it comes down to it, I won't spoil the ending, but it turns out pretty much the monster and the evil's man. And I like scary stories like that, or scary movies like that. Parasite is another example where basically the evil is people. It's not a monster. It's not any kind of supernatural occurrence. It's just people. Now, granted, there were some things where I was like, yeah, right. Like, there was a character in the movie that died, and like cops were able to get there in about 5 seconds. Like, some unrealistic things that happened. But other than that, I would recommend watching this if you're a fan of slow burn kind of ghost stories where the end result is that the monster is just man. It is streaming on Peacock right now, I believe, so go watch it. Now, I would say until next time, but since this is the last day of Spooky Season, I will say until next time, until I figure out where I want to go video-wise, as far as posting videos on my YouTube. So, until the next video.